Yes, Girija, I'm not driving.
So let us continue. I was saying in the last session, we are coming to the conclusion of Tripura Rahasya. In the Tripura, there's just 2 chapters left. So we'll have a session today, session and next, 2 more sessions after this. And that will be the concluding sessions of the Tripura Rahasya. So these sessions, these final sessions in the Tripura Rahasya, these final chapters in the Tripura Rahasya are focused on understanding deeper and deeper about the characteristics of a Gnani. So the theme is to understand the characteristics of a Gnani. Bhagavan Dattatreya is illustrating in different various examples and stories and answering the questions of Parashurama, explaining to him about, in various ways, about the characteristics of the Gnani. So there's no other focus, only Gnani, who is the one who is the self, who has realized the self, and who is established in the self. He's what is called a Brahmana. You heard the word called Brahmana. What does the word Brahmana mean? Are you a Brahmana? Shesharji?
Establishing Brahman, yes.
Establishing Brahmana. So the real meaning of the Brahmana is one who is established in Brahman. Brahma Gnaneti iti Brahmana. Okay, that is the basic qualification. Basic qualification. It has nothing to do with anything else. The society has various definitions, and that's where these scriptures or teachings of the Guru come into picture. Wherein the mind is always tuned to the society. There is a frequency, you're always tuned to the society. So naturally, because there's a transaction happening every day. You're going to work, then you're buying, you're selling, you're interacting with the world. Okay, if you have some problem, you go to the doctor. So all these interactions, they keep you tuned to I am the body, I am the mind, and I am the identity. Because every time somebody interacts with you, they interact with some label. Okay, so what label they interact with you? The moment you have, for example, the body of a woman, okay, you're not most of the time you're not seen as a person, you're seen as an object. Okay, if you're a very beautiful woman, then forget about it. Then you're not a human being, you're just an object. Okay, then you have so much various other labels: profession, your profession, what you do, where you're from. If you go to a different part of the world, then you are an outsider. You're labeled as an outsider. You're seen as an outsider. Okay, certain people with a certain skin have some label. Oh, they must be criminals. Okay. So based on what inference the other person who is seeing makes from what they can see and know, you are labeled, and that's all. That is your prison. And when you interact with them, you have to reciprocate that. Somebody interacting with you as a body, so you also reciprocate that. The child comes and talks to you, and you're with the label of the father, you reciprocate that. Okay. in all this transaction is called vyavahara. Okay, some sort of vyavahara. And the vyavahara, there is some unit of measurement, some currency is there. Either it's barter, I give you this in exchange for this, or it's some currency. Okay, I have this much value, you have that much value. In the vyavaharika world, the vyavahara is based on labels, the labels that you have. If somebody's label makes no sense to you, then there's no transaction possible. Okay, there's somebody, for example, when you have a heart disease, then the ear surgeon is useless to you, or the eye surgeon is useless to you. You want the very specific, specialized doctor. Okay. In the same way, if you have you only transact with people based on this give and take. This give and take is called vyavahara. Now, the vyavahara keeps you in a constant delusion. And to come out of that, what is the only way? Is you should hear something about what is not vyavahara. Okay? And that what is not vyavahara is paramarthika. So vyavaharika, then paramarthika. Paramarthika means beyond the transaction. Is there life beyond transaction? Is there life beyond label? Or am I just a label? In my entire life, I am the label that people have given to me, and I am the label that I myself think I am. So to come out of these labels, there should be a listening to the paramarthika. The paramarthika is transcendent. So from transaction, you do a very good transaction, then you go to transcendence. Now the whole point of transaction is, why you do transaction? What is the whole point of vyavaharika? That you should come on top. Okay, you should make the most benefit. Okay, in the vyavahara, that's it. I should get the best deal. In getting the best deal, do you get happiness? There's a notion that if I get the best deal, I become very happy. But after getting all the best deals for thousands of lifetimes, you got all the best deals, but still the fulfillment doesn't happen. Then there's a seeking for the true happiness, which doesn't come from transaction, which comes from transcendence. So these scriptures are not transactional scriptures. Also, all the scriptures for that matter, whatever we call scripture, Shastra, okay, Brahma Shastra, Brahma Vidya, is not transactional. It is transcendental. Okay, it's transcendental wisdom. And a transcendental wisdom can be useless in transaction. Okay, the transcendental wisdom helps you transcend all the inner labels, the labeling, the movement of the mind, brings peace to the mind. And how such a person is, somebody who has transcended. Somebody who has transcended is called a Jnani. How this Jnani behaves, talks, walks, deals, and still continues the transaction is the theme of the next concluding chapter. Okay. So in the previous chapter, we saw the Tripura Devi, Adiparashakti. She gives the teaching of Vidya Gita to all the Jnanis. Now Parashurama has heard these teachings. Parashurama, Bhagavan Dattatreya has completed the Vidya Gita. Now, this chapter, the next chapter that we're going to take up today, starts with the question of Parashurama. Parashurama asks a question. He feels purified, he feels peaceful, he feels calm on listening to the Vidya Gita from Bhagavan Dattatreya. Now he's asking, I still have a few questions, because the Vidya Gita was given to Jnanis. Okay? All the people who heard are Jnanis, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, then Rishis, Narada, Atri, who else is there? Vyasa Maharshi, Shuka. So all of these, only Jnanis heard. Okay, now he asked the question. I still have some doubts about these Jnanis. How is that they have realized the truth, yet they act in the world, and even though they act in the world, they are still unattached. Okay? Please explain to me how they're able to relate to the world, how they're able to operate in the world, how do they think, how do they talk, how do they sit? Okay? How can I know if somebody is a Gnani? So this is the question Parashurama asks. How do I recognize a Gnani? Okay? So how do you recognize a Gnani?
As per our previous classes, I think no one can recognize others as whether they are Jnani or not, but in the presence of a Jnani, one will feel deep peace, kind of.
Guruji, my experiences when I met you, there was something different. Yeah. There was no question arising. As in, you cleared everything. That time I realized that this person is something more. Maybe he's a Gnani or something.
Can it be faked? Can it be faked? So Bhagavan Dattatreya tells the answer. So Gnani, it is very, very, very difficult to know who is a Gnani. Okay? And it's also very easy, depending on who is seeing. So there is a very popular Zen story. There was in the village, there's one man who's always abused by the villagers, telling that he's dumb, he's dumb, he's dumb. Okay? He's an idiot. They call him idiot. They keep abusing him. So he's so frustrated. At one point, he gets so frustrated that he's an idiot. Okay. Then he goes outside the village to the river to commit suicide because he's so frustrated. There, there's a Zen master. The master sees him that he's going to commit suicide. He asks him, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm going to kill myself because I'm depressed. All the people, they call me idiot. My whole life, they've been calling me idiot." He says, "Okay, what do you want?" The person says, "I want everybody to respect me." Then the master tells, "That's so simple. You want everybody to respect you. Okay, you go back to your village. Whenever anybody interacts with you, you don't give an answer, but you ask a question. Anything they say, simply ask a question. Okay, whatever they say, you ask a question." So this person goes back. He goes back. Then somebody comes, sees him coming. So they tell, "Where have you gone, idiot?" Okay. Then this person asks, and he's learned the mannerism from the Gnani to be poised. He asks, "Where have you come from?" And it feels so profound that the man feels that this person is transformed and he bows down to him. Okay. Then he meets another person. "Hey, idiot, what are you doing today?" Then this person asks the question, "What have you ever done in life?" Okay. he becomes intelligent to ask the question intelligently. Anybody says something to him, his only job is asking a question. He asks a question. Then he becomes famous in the village as a Zen master. Okay? So many people start coming to him. Wherever he sits, people gather around him. But he's a master. They ask him questions. What is life and death? Okay, what happens after death? Then he asks everything. He answers with a question. What do you think happens after death? Okay. Then they tell some answer. He sits silently. Then he's very happy. Internally, he's enjoying it. He's enjoying the attention and the fame. Then he again goes in search of the real Zen master. He goes to the master and he bows down, tells the whole village is now, they take me as a master. They bow down to me. They no longer call me idiot. They think I'm the wisest man. So when I met you, I was idiot. Now I am the wisest man. The Zen master looks at him. He asks him, who is wise? Okay. At that moment, he becomes enlightened. Okay. So all the questioning and all the interaction with the society from a different level, a higher level, has purified him. He's become clear. And then he receives the teaching of who am I? And he really becomes enlightened. He really becomes wise. So who is wise? So somebody reads the Ramana Maharshi's book, Who Am I? Or reads 10 spiritual books, okay, lives of the masters, can know how to position themselves as a Gnani. Okay, but Gnani is not that. It's like this. If you see ordinarily the brightest, most intelligent people could be people who run very big companies or Nobel laureates. Ordinarily, when you look at them, you can't really tell if they are what they are. Okay, first, forget about Gnani. Somebody who is a scholar, let's say very intelligent in some subject, it is very, very hard to tell this person is a scholar. Okay, this person probably is a world-renowned surgeon because there are no characteristics. The surgeon will never go holding, surgical instruments all the time. Okay, doctor will never have a stethoscope. They look ordinary. Okay, somebody like a Mark Zuckerberg, he just wears one T-shirt, same T-shirt he wears every day. Okay, somebody who doesn't know will think, oh, this is an ordinary person. Now, how, when you can't even understand from the outside that somebody is a scholar in some subject or in some profession, how are we supposed to understand somebody is a Gnani, which is much more subtler? Okay. And with so many people telling that I am a Gnani, because I have wisdom to share. So it's very hard to tell. So Bhagavan Dattatreya tells it's very, very hard to understand who is a Gnani. But there are some ways. And what are these ways? First thing he tells is Gnanis have one weakness. A highest order Gnani has a big weakness. You know what that is? They have a weakness for Gnana. They have a weakness for spiritual discussions. They get very excited. And this is what Bhagavan Dattatreya, they get very, very enthusiastic when there is a true spiritual discussion happening. They give themselves completely in the spiritual discussion, in the talk about the transcendent. Okay, so there's a ashram in the Himalayas. This is a true story. One of the famous ashrams. There was the guru. The moment somebody comes to the ashram, he starts talking the highest spiritual wisdom. Okay, it doesn't matter who comes in. He directly starts with the discussions of Brahmagnana. Then he tells his disciples, if I don't open my mouth and talk about Brahmagnana, these people will start their own discussions, politics, and what is happening, how was the trip, how is the weather, what is happening in the world, what is business. So they bring the world into the ashram. Okay? And the Gnani doesn't allow that. The Gnani, the moment anybody comes, he starts talking Brahmagnana. He washes the world away from their mind and mouth. So Gnanis, there's the quality of the Gnani. The Gnani is very enthusiastic about the highest discussions. Okay? Contemplation and discussion and talk about the higher spiritual truths. Or they are deeply silent. And in their silence, you become deeply silent. Then the other characteristics is the Gnani is always equanimous. The higher order Gnani is always equanimous, no matter what happens on the outside, whether he is praised or abused, no matter what is done onto him, he or she is equanimous. So that is the story that is the learning from the life of Jesus. When Jesus Christ was crucified, okay, he was tortured and crucified. Okay. When he was tortured and crucified, he looked at the sky to talk to the Father in the heaven. What did he say?
May we please forgive them for their...
You're on mute. I can't hear you.
I think maybe something like, please forgive them for what they have done. They don't realize what they are doing.
He said, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Okay. Somebody else would be filled with rage and abuse. Okay. And hurt. To tell at that moment to forgive them is not ordinary. Okay. It comes from, there is a divinity, there is a sanctity. So Gnani is equanimous in turbulent situation and in favorable situations. Okay. The Gnani is also compassionate and selfless and loving. Now, when Bhagavan Dattatreya is telling all the characteristics of Gnani, he also warns Parashurama that I am telling you all these characteristics not to evaluate somebody else whether they are Gnani or not. Okay? First of all, there is no yardstick. These are just some pointers. And using these pointers, you have to use these pointers for yourself. You evaluate yourself where you stand, rather than using the yardstick for a Gnani. But these are told to bring some clarity on, because there are so many people pretending to be a Gnani. There are also real Gnanis. Depending on your good fortune and good merit and karma, who you meet. If you meet, fortunately, the right Gnani and the Guru, then your life is fulfilled. Okay? If you meet the wrong Guru, it's like meeting a wrong doctor. It's exactly like this. Let's say you have a disease. First of all, you don't know what is the disease. You just feel the pain. Meeting the wrong doctor can be life-threatening. Okay? Forget about doctor. Doctor is still next level. Meeting the person who diagnoses the disease, right? If your disease is diagnosed wrong, okay, you have stomach pain, but the disease is and you have, let's say, cancer. The disease is diagnosed something else, and you start medication for that, then that complicates the situation. Okay, so in the same way, when you have Bhavaroga, meeting the wrong Guru It's exactly like meeting the wrong doctor when you have disease. And it is out of great fortune that you meet the right guru. Okay? A little bit here and there, the diagnosis goes wrong and people get into all sorts of delusion, next level delusions. First you had labels from the society. Now you have labels from the, oh my God, spiritual society. I am the person who has done 10,000 times japa. I am the person who has covered all the tirth yatras. I am the person who has done this much meditation. Okay. So all these discussions go on in so-called spiritual circles. Same game, but different world. So the wrong association can be very, very difficult. So coming out of Bhava Roga is easy. Coming out of this Roga is more difficult. Coming out of the delusions, the spiritual delusions are even more difficult. Okay. Coming out of the delusion that I am enlightened is even more tough. If you're seeking, it's very easy. You're open. Okay. The Gnani or the Guru can talk to you. But if you think that you're enlightened, then it is very difficult. So Bhagavan Dattatreya tells these insights that I'm giving you is to measure, is to evaluate yourself. And of course, you have met some Gnani, appreciate the opportunity and make most of it and don't waste time. Any doubts so far? Now, Bhagavan Dattatreya goes on to tell, he brings further clarity on the Gnani. So last time earlier he had told Uttama, Madhyama and Adama Gnani. The three types of Gnani. Gnani is also three types. What is the difference between them? The lowest order Gnani, he is a Gnani. That means he has the Gnana that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. I am consciousness. Okay. But this Gnana, whenever he interacts with the world, he might slip. He might fall into unconsciousness momentarily. Okay. He's not fully established in Sahaja Samadhi. Okay. He has Gnana that gets triggered. He gets awakened to that, but he's not fully established in Sahaja Samadhi. He comes and he goes. There might be moments where he might become very angry, or it might appear he might become depressed or disturbed, but not for long. Again, he falls back to Gnana. This is the lowest order Gnani. He's interacting with the world. He's in the world. He's got some Gnana, maybe from a Sadguru, of course, from a Sadguru. Then that Gnana is on and off. Okay. So it's like he has now we are going to UK, Ireland. We got a tourist visa. Last time we had got for 3 months. This time we got for one year. But in the 1 year, you can only go in for 3 months. Okay. So lower order Gnani is like he has only visiting visa. He visits Brahman only for this much time. This much time. He comes and he goes. But he has to go back to the world. Okay. He falls back into the what is that? The Maya. But there are moments again he goes back. He visits. But the Madhyama and the Uttama Gnani, they have got citizenship in Brahman. They are established in Brahman. They are no longer, they have forsaken all visa, all passports. They are completely established in Brahman. But the Madhyama Gnani, still there's a difference from the higher Gnani. The Madhyama Gnani, he is like the comparison that the Bhagavan Dattatreya gives is like a drunkard. He is drunk in Brahman. First he was drunk in Maya. Maya Madhira Pitaha. Now is Brahma Madhira Pitaha. Okay. He is in the intoxication of Brahman. So when you are in the intoxication of, like, let's say alcohol, you are still able to see, still able to interact, still able to do something. Some people even drink and drive. Right? They meet with an accident, that's a different case. but they can still drive. They do something. Okay, then they meet with an accident. In the same way, the Gnani, who's the Madhyama Gnani, Bhagavan Dattatreya tells, he's drunk. He's like in a drunken state. That means he's half here, half there. Okay? But like the drunkard, so the drunkard knows that he's drunk and he stays away because there's a smell and everything. So the Madhyama Gnani, he stays away as much as possible from the society. He doesn't want to interact too much with the society. He wants to stay more and more in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi or the state of Brahman. Now the Uttama Gnani, the highest order Gnani, is fully established in Brahman. The comparison that Dattatreya gives for him is, he's like an actor. Okay, he's like an actor. For him, the whole thing is like a drama. He is fully established in Brahman. He knows everything is Maya, everything. So he doesn't mind doing anything because he's free from everything. That's what Krishna is. Krishna has no inhibitions because all inhibitions are Maya. He's like an actor. Depending on what stage you put him, he will behave like that. Okay, it's like you think of him as a very good actor. Okay, like a Rajnikant. He can play any role. And when he's playing the role, he does not forget who he is. Okay, just because he's playing the role so convincingly, it doesn't mean he has fooled himself. The Gnani can play the role very, very convincingly. Okay? And this is where it becomes difficult to tell who is a Gnani, who is not a Gnani. Gnani plays the role so convincingly. Okay? He can be fully immersed in a discussion of the world. He can be fully active. Like Krishna is completely active. Only a few people in Krishna's time knew that Krishna is Bhagavan. For everybody else, Krishna appears as a normal person. He's doing work. He's a politician. He has aspirations. He has desire. Okay, people think that Krishna has a desire for a kingdom because he's very active. He's working day and night. He's working. How can you tell? And he plays the role so convincingly. So the Gnani is like an actor. Okay, if he has to shout, he will shout very convincingly. If he has to be compassionate, he will be very convincing. At anything, he'll be convincing. So the highest order Gnani is fully established in Brahman. It's like that. The examples that Dattatreya gives is the example again of Janaka Maharaj. So Janaka Maharaj is a very popular example given in all spiritual texts for a higher order Gnani because he is a king and he's a Gnani, highest order Gnani. Okay, handling the kingdom, enjoying the pleasures of being a king, yet fully established in Brahman. So one day, one of the rishis at that time, I think Vishwamitra, I'm not sure. So Janaka Maharaja's fame as a Gnani king was very popular. So the disciples in the ashram, one of the disciples in the ashram, he was not convinced. He thought it's a bluff. Janaka Maharaj is a cheat. Okay. Then the Guru tells him, you go there. You go and you see for yourself and come. This person goes. When he goes, Janaka Maharaj welcomes him. He does Pada Puja for him. Okay, he makes him sit on the throne. He does Pada Puja. And then he gives him a place in the palace. Then this person's ego is boosted. Oh, okay, the king is bowing down to me. Then he's in a place. He's given a room. Then it's evening time. He is going to do Sandhyavana near the river. Then everybody starts screaming, fire, fire, fire. Okay. This person runs. Oh my God, I've put my clothes for drying. What clothes? He has 2 pieces of cloth. That's all. That is his possession. Okay, he's a great sannyasi with 2 pieces of cloth. And he runs to get the 2 pieces of cloth. And there he finds Janaka Maharaja. Janaka Maharaja standing and silently watching. People are running and there's chaos. This guy is calmly watching. Then he goes to Janaka Maharaja and asks him, this thing is, palace is burning. There's a fire somewhere. Okay. Janaka Maharaja answers. He looks at him and answers, what is mine is with me. Okay. What is not mine, why should I bother? What can I do there? Somebody is doing something. Then he tells him, you're supposed to be, you're a sannyasi, and you're so attached to these 2 pieces of cloth. Okay. But people think I have all of this, but what is really mine, the self, is with me. Then this person understands, this monk understands, that Janaka Maharaja is a Gnani. So another characteristics of a Gnani is when the chips fall down, you see the Gnana come out. Okay. So that's when it really hits you. Oh, this person is a Gnani. Otherwise, it's very easy to be peaceful and calm and loving and Gnani, talking all the scriptures of when everything is fine. But on the battlefield, in the Kurukshetra, when you're about to be killed, if Gnana comes out, that's what happened in case of Krishna. Then Arjuna understands, oh, Krishna is a Gnani. Till now he was a friend, Sakha. But on the battlefield, when the words of wisdom come, that has power. And that is a very, very importance of the Sadguru. The Sadguru is always, the Guru that is required for spiritual evolution is always in your time, in your space. Okay, in your world, in your present. That's why no Guru from the past can help you. Because you will always, mind will always project something else on them. The Guru is always in your time zone, in your space, going through the same things that you are going through. Okay, so for a Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, when Swami Vivekananda meets him, he sees Ramakrishna Paramahamsa as an ordinary person. Okay, exposed to everything that he's exposed to. Okay, there's a war going on somewhere. Both the master and the disciple are exposed to that. There is a famine, there's some political situation, both are exposed to that. One is not excluded. Okay? In that, the exposure is the same. But in the same exposure, this person is not getting affected by the exposure. That's what makes the difference. Okay? This person is peaceful. And this person is able to navigate peacefully and guide others. So that is the importance of the living Sadguru. Okay, somebody who is in flesh and blood, in the same time, okay, same weather conditions, same economic conditions, same political conditions, yet free. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has same biological conditions. Okay, he has cancer. Ramana Maharshi has cancer. Okay, now how they handle that is what makes the difference. And that is why it said the Guru is the living book, means this. The Guru teaches, of course, the Guru gives direct teaching of Atmanjnana, but also lives, his life itself is the teaching. This was a reason why there was something called as Gurukula, where the children used to stay with the Guru. It's called immersive learning. Okay, so children learn not from what you say, but from how you behave. So they would watch the Guru from a very young age. They would see him talking to kings, talking to all sorts of classes from the society, handling all troublesome situations, Okay, feeding all those people in the ashram. It's a tough responsibility. Yet, be deeply rooted in Atmagnana and speak the highest wisdom. That has a very transformative effect on the student in the Guru. Okay, so the Uttama Gnani is like that. He's able to do all of that. He's able to operate in the world. Like a Janaka Maja, he's able to transact, but be rooted in the transcendent. Okay. Now, in the Uttama Gnani, there are two types. There are two types of Uttama Gnanis. One of them is from a background of discipline. Okay, that means before Gnana, he's come from a background of rigorous discipline. Then the other Gnani, the other Uttama Gnani, has come a background of Gnana. The example is, for the first Gnani is Buddha. Buddha comes from a background of Yama and Niyama, strict discipline. Okay, he practiced very hard spiritual practices for over 6 years. Okay, then he's a Uttama Gnani. Then there's other type of Gnani. Maybe the example is Shankaracharya, who comes from a background of Gnana. The way these two shine is very different. Okay, the Shankaracharya will tell meditation is useless. Meditation, what meditation? This is nonsense. Gnana alone. Focus on Gnana. Who is to meditate? Shankaracharya asked the question, who is meditating? How can the Brahman meditate? Brahman, you are Brahman. If you are Brahman, the premise that the Gnani starts, the Uttama Gnani starts, is you are Brahman. He doesn't take any standpoint, lower standpoint. For a Shankaracharya, for a Uttama Gnani, whenever he interacts with anybody, he's only interacting with Brahman. He doesn't start with the premise that, oh, you're at this level, then you have a long way to go. You have to study all these scriptures, then you'll become Brahman. No. Okay, the Uttama Gnani is, you are Brahman. What meditation you will do? Okay. The only thing is you're ignorant about being a Brahman. That has to be removed, and that gets removed to Gnana. But the Gnani, the Uttama Gnani, who's come from the background of discipline, he or she may, the way they approach might be different. They might handhold the disciple first through a process of purification. Okay. And then bring in the wisdom. So Dattatreya gives the distinction between the Uttama Gnani and the Uttama Gnani, two types of Uttama Gnanis. So Krishna tried the same thing. In the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna starts speaking to Arjuna, he starts with Brahma Gnana. He starts with the highest wisdom. But Arjuna is not able to grasp that. Simply because he's not gone through the process of spiritual process of what is required to grasp that kind of Gnana. So the basic requirement for Gnana, the basic requirement, according to the Atma Bodha of Adi Shankaracharya, what is the basic requirement for Atma Gnana is, you should have completed all of the sadhanas. Okay? All of the sadhanas, and you should have sadhana sampatti. What is that? Shama, Dhamma, Titiksha, Uparati, Shraddha, Samadhana, Mukshatva. You should have all of that. So by the time you come to the Guru, you should be done with all the sadhanas, purifications. Then you should have the sadhana sampatti, and your only focus should be, I want mukti. Then the Atma Gnana is given. Okay, that is a basic criteria. That is also the premise of the Upanishads. All the Upanishads start on this premise, where the disciple who is going to the master for Atma Gnana is only going for Atma Gnana. They have no plan B. They have no second agenda. Oh, along with Atma Gnana, if you could just solve this problem of mine, along with Atma Gnana, if only I can cure my disease, along with Atmagnana, if I get this, nothing. So they used to go with 2 sticks. Okay, all the Upanishads start with the disciple going with the 2 sticks to the master. The sticks represent that I am like this stick now, ready. You don't have to spend any time to give me purificatory practice. Okay, I am as ripe, I am as dry as this sticks. I am ready to burn. I have no other desire, aspiration. I have fulfilled my duties. I have no more seeking from the world. I have no desire in the world. I am ready to be burnt. It's a last ticket. Okay, I am ready to exit this drama. But the guru has to be very fortunate to get disciples like this. It's so rare. As much as it's rare for the disciples to get a Sadguru, it is very rare for the gurus to get somebody like this. Okay, so in one of the ashrams here in Bangalore, there was somebody giving a talk. So in the talk, the story was told of the story of Ramakrishna and Vivekananda. So Vivekananda came and Ramakrishna touched, and he felt, he realized he had the glimpse of Brahman. Then one person in the audience, arrogantly, he raised his hand. Okay, if you are a real guru, he told the speaker on the stage, if you are a real guru, you should also do that. Okay, only then you have the right to speak all of this. Then the Guruji, he said, yes, I am ready. I am open to any Vivekanandas. I call any Vivekananda who is ready, please come. Anybody of the stature of Vivekananda, please come. Okay. And it will happen. Nobody came. This person sat quietly. So as much as it's difficult for the disciple to find the master, it is difficult for the master to find such disciples who are ready to burn in Gnana. So the Uttama Gnani sometimes may focus on discipline depending on the disciple, or if they are from the background of Gnana, they only focus on Atmana. Now, in the Tripura Rahasya, Bhagavan Dattatreya tells a story to illustrate. And it's a very unique and fascinating story. It's a story, it's a discussion between a Brahma Rakshasa and a Gnani. Something similar happens in the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, there is a story where the Pandavas they are thirsty and they go to drink from a pond. There's a Yaksha. They have to answer questions. Have you heard the story? The Yaksha asks the questions. If they tell the wrong answer, they die. And all of them die, except, who is that? Dharmaraya. Dharmaraya answers all the questions and the brothers are revived. Here it's different because the questions that this Brahma Rakshasa is asking is of Atmana. There, the Yaksha is asking questions about just the worldly questions, transactional. Okay, no core Atmagnana is discussed. Here, the story is there are 2 brothers, they're prince from the royal family, called Rukmangada and Hemangada. Okay, Hemangada is a higher order Gnani. Rukmangada is very intelligent. He's not a Gnani. He's very intelligent. He's a scholar. Very intelligent. And Hemangada is a Gnani. So they go hunting, and in one place there's this Brahma Rakshasa that comes. The Brahma Rakshasa first captures Rukmangada. The scholar. Then the criteria is, the condition is, I'll ask you some questions. If you answer, you will be let free. You'll be set free. And he is not able to answer. And the Rakshasa is about to eat the brother, Rukmangala. Then Hemangala comes there and he pleads the Rakshasa, please let my brother go. Whatever question you have, I will answer that. Okay. Now, how did there's also an explanation given of how this Rakshasa came to be there. In the previous birth, this Rakshasa was a scholar. This scholar, wherever there is a discussion happening, right, he would go there just to insult the people, to show that they're dumb. Then there's one time there's a discussion happening in one of the places, and this scholar uses all wrong logical thinking, stupid logic, to just simply to prove that the other person is wrong. But the other person who is having a discussion is a Gnani. His disciple gets angry that he is insulting the Guru using illogical reasoning, and he curses him. He curses him that he will become a Brahma Rakshasa. Then he gets scared. The scholar gets scared. Oh, what is happening now? And he pleads to the Gnani, please forgive me. The Gnani tells, the solution to your problem is in the problem. You will become free when some Gnani answers the fundamental questions that you have. So wait until that time. Wait until a time when your questions are answered. So the answering of these questions that he is asking determine whether he'll become free or not. That is the gravity of the situation. And for the other person, it's a matter of life and death. If he answers the questions wrong, he gets eaten by the Brahma Rakshasa. So Hemangada, this discussion, why this is unique is, the person asking the question is asking because only if he gets the right answer will he become free. And the person who is giving the answer has to be a Gnani to give the answer. Otherwise, he gets eaten. Okay? So it's not a casual discussion. Everywhere there are guns. There's a gun pointing. Little wrong move, gone. Okay? So you can't fool your way out of it. It's basically what the scripture is trying to tell. All your spiritual knowledge or your wisdom and your peace, okay, will not help you if it's not real. So the real light is required here, not nothing fake will work. Okay, because the Brahma Rakshasa will capture it. The Guru is still compassionate. If you tell some wrong answer, he'll tell, okay, come back next time. Brahma Rakshasa has no compassion because him being a Brahma Rakshasa depends on this. And his only survival mechanism is to eat people. Okay, he has to eat to survive. Either he eats the person to survive or he gets the right answer and becomes free. Either he's okay with either. Okay, but there's no option 3. So what are these questions? We'll go through that now. Any doubts so far? Okay, so the first question. So I'll go to each question. Each question is very interesting. What question the Brahma Rakshasa asks and what answer the Hemangada tells us answer. Okay, every answer that he gives is cross-questioned. He doesn't accept the answer simply just like that. Because he has to get absolute clarity. Only then he becomes free. So the first question he asks is, what is more greater or extensive than space, and it's subtler than the subtlest, and what is its nature? Where does it abide? Tell me, Prince. So what is the answer? What is the answer? Question is clear?
Man.
So the answer that the Prince gives is, it is pure consciousness. It's an obvious answer. Everybody who's read 3 books of Shankaracharya knows the answer. Consciousness is subtler than the subtlest. It is greater than the space. And its nature is of light. It is Atma Jyoti. This is Shankaracharya tells in the Brahmananavadi Mahastotra. Pratyak Jyoti, Paratparaha, Jyotireva Jyoti, Swayam Jyoti, Atma Jyoti, Shivosvayam. The consciousness of the nature of light, meaning it illumines. It is the only illumining entity. Everything else is illumined. Okay? It is the one that illumines. That is the nature of awareness, light, illumination, and it is the self. The moment he gives the answer, the cross question comes. How can it be wider than space? Okay? Because you say it is a self. Okay? You are contradicting yourself. You say it is a self, it is non-dual self. Then that means how can it be wider than space? Because it is just one. And how can it be subtler? And when you use the word self, Atma, self, what is the self? What is it? It is just a word that you're using. What does it clearly explain? Okay. Then the Prince gives the answer that it is of the nature of awareness. In the awareness, you are aware, you're aware, it is with your awareness you know. It is that knowing and awareness is the light. It is the subtlest, it is greater than space because the space is illumined by this consciousness. Okay? It is subtler than the subtlest because the consciousness is present even in the subtle or the great. Both appear in the consciousness. Is the answer that he gives. Then the Rakshasa asks him, where and how is this chit? And how is it to be realized? And what is the effect of realization? What is the answer? Where and how is this chit? How can it be realized? And what is the effect of the realization? Now he gives a technical answer. He goes a little technical. He understands that this Brahma Rakshasa is not happy with just direct answers. He has to make it complicated. Okay. Sometimes when you go to the salespeople, no, when you ask something, they tell, oh, this has so much horsepower. This car is so much speed. They give so much tech. They burden you with the technical jargons that you think, oh, it must be true. Okay. Any person, when you're trying to sell something, they exaggerate it with technical jargon. Do you do that in work? To seem more intelligent, to seem more, to give the illusion that you know more, the technical jargons are used. Now, Hemangada, because of the cross-questioning of the Brahma Rakshasa, he is giving a very technical answer. He tells that The problem is there in the intellectual sheath. So there are 5 koshas. Annamaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Anandamaya kosha. Okay? 5 koshas are there. 5 sheaths. The problem of avidya, he says, is in the intellectual sheath. It's in the Vijnanamaya kosha. And it's a sheath. Sheath is like a layer. This layer, because of the avidya in this layer, covers the Brahman, covers the consciousness. So when the teachings of the Guru corrects this layer, okay, which layer? The intellectual sheath. And that correction is called Paroksha Gnana. Okay? Aparoksha Gnana happens in Anandamaya kosha. Paroksha Gnana is the key. Paroksha Gnana is your intellect has to be worked upon. The Guru works on your intellectual sheath. Avidya is removed there by giving the proper Gnana. And then that wheel of ignorance drops. Okay? That is the answer. And how it is done is, you have to have one pointed focus. The solution is, because the intellectual sheath is the intellect, it cannot be too many, the focus cannot be on many things. One pointed focus on Brahman will break the illusion in the intellectual sheath. Then the Brahmarasha asks a counter question. What is that sheath? Okay? What is the concentration of the mind? You say one-pointed focus. What is this one-pointed focus? And again, what is birth? Now, so anybody has an answer to these questions? What is the sheath? What is the concentration of the mind? What is birth? So look at the answer given by Hemangada. Hemangada tells that sheath is a projection of consciousness itself. From the power of consciousness, it's projected. It is an illusionary sheath. It's a projection of consciousness. It is an object. Okay, it is inert. It is an object. And one pointedness, the mind focused on the self, okay, will break that sheath. And you ask the question, what is birth? The birth is very simple. Birth means, the moment we hear birth, there's a visualization. There's a mother, there's a womb, there's a child in the womb, there's a coming out of the womb. All that you think is birth. But the answer given by the Gnani is very different. The Gnani's answer of birth means to identify with the body. If you identify with the body, it is birth. If you're not identified with the body, so Krishna is not identified with the body. Krishna is never born. Okay? Birth has nothing to do with the physical. Birth means to be identified with the body. In your dream, you go to you are in a dream world. Okay? In the dream world, first of all, you were not born in the dream. You simply appeared in whatever age you are, right? You were not born because your birth happened in the physical body. In the dream, you simply appeared in Paris and you have a feeling that you were born in the dream world. But that is not birth. The birth is you identified with that body. The moment you identified with that body, you were born. You understand what he's trying to say? So birth has nothing to do with the physical. Because the avatar is also born. As in, from the world perspective, the avatar is born. Krishna is born. But for Krishna, Krishna is not born. Krishna is birthless and deathless. That's why Krishna tells in the Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam. Evam yoveti tattvataha. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. He tells the one who understands the secret of my birth, Janma, and the secret of my karma, action. He gets to know all the secrets. He becomes free. And the secret is Krishna is not born. Because Krishna is Brahman. And why it's a secret? How will that free you? Because you're also Brahman. You realize that you're also not born. It is your identification with the body that gives you the feeling of birth and death. The moment you unclutch from the body, what is birth to you? What is death to you? Okay. So then the Brahmarasha asks him, so now, okay, he's satisfied with the birth answer. He asks him, so if that is the case with consciousness, if it's so subtle, if it's always there, if it's always shining, why it is not always realized? It should be obvious, no? It should always be obvious. The world which is illusionary is obvious. The truth which is consciousness, why it's not obvious? Right? It should be like the sun. It should be so obvious. Because you say everything shines in the light of consciousness. The sun which is drawing the light from consciousness is so obvious. Why isn't the consciousness so obvious? Which is the light of all lights. It should be very obvious. Okay? And how can I realize that self? And why did birth take place at all? Okay, why did this identification with the body take place at all? So what is the answer? Why is the consciousness not so obvious? If the object that is illumined by consciousness is so obvious, the consciousness is a valid question. I empathize with the ghost. Okay? If the object which is illumined by consciousness is so obvious, why is the illuminator not obvious? Why? What is the answer?
Because like sun is clouded by clouds and that error is in the intellect.
Or another example you had given sometime, the eyes can never see the eyes.
The eyes can never see the eyes. Aha. So the answer the Hemangada gives is the cause that it is not obvious. The self is not so obvious. It's because of the ignorance. You have not looked in that direction. Okay, you've only been looking outside. The moment you open the eyes, there is a story of Ganesha. The Puranas, this teaching that Hemangada is giving, right, is actually illustrated by Vyasa Maharshi as a story of the birth of Ganesha. The Ganesha is the mother Parvati. She makes a doll out of mud and she brings life to it. The moment she brings life to it, this boy opens the eyes. You can only see mother. He's infatuated with the mother. My mother, my mother, my mother. Then the father comes. The mother tells, don't allow anybody. I have to go to bed. Then the Shiva comes. But he doesn't know Shiva. So Shiva is the consciousness. Okay? Mother is the Shakti, what you see. The moment a child opens the eyes, you only see objects. You see the world, you only see the mother. And you know only the mother. My mother, my mother, my father, my mother. Then one day Shiva comes. Shiva is Guru, also Guru. But you can't recognize. You say, no, you're not there, you're false, you're not allowed. Then the Guru cuts the head. The Shiva cuts the boy's head and he replaces the head. That ignorance has to be cut by the Guru. The Guru, that's the meaning. The Guru cuts the ignorance. The head is a place of ignorance. Then he puts a new head. Okay, and the head of the elephant. Now that means to represent that now he's a Gnani. Now he can see Shiva. Earlier he was only seeing Shakti. Okay, that means world of objects. Now he's able to perceive or know consciousness. The same thing Hemangada tells, it is because of the ignorance that it's not so obvious. And what realizes self is that the self realizes self. No other third party is required. Okay? The way to realize the self is through the self. Self realizes itself. There's nobody else coming and realizing the self, because there's nothing else apart from the self. And he asks a question, why does birth take place at all? Why does birth happen at all? Meaning, why does identification with the body happen? Why does identification with the body happen? Identification with the body happens because of the sense of doership. Okay? You can tell identification happens with the body happens because of ignorance. What is that ignorance? I am the doer is the ignorance. Because there is a action happening, and that action is creating a sense of doership, and that is reinforcing I am the body, I am the body, I am the body. Okay? So no sense of doership, no sense of I am the body, or no sense of I am the body, no sense of doership. They are complementary. So the sense of doership is what is giving you birth. Okay? What is giving you, what is making you identify with the body, and what is continuing this cycle of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. What is that? The sense of doership. Every time you do something, you feel you're the doer. Then that causes some karma. Then to experience that karma, there is another birth. Next question. Are you ready for the next question, or are you enough with this much questions? So next question. The ghost asks, I don't understand. You keep saying ignorance, ignorance, ignorance. What is this ignorance? Okay, please explain this ignorance. What is this ignorance? And what is the self? You use two words, ignorance and self. And to whom is the sense of doership? Is it to the self? Because self is non-doer. To whom is the sense of doership? Fine, you say the identification of body is because of sense of doership. But for whom? Who has this sense of doership? Okay, who is there? You say, first you said there is only self. There's nothing else apart from the self. So please, and then you don't know the self because of ignorance. You first explain to me what is ignorance, what is self, and for whom is the sense of doership. Because it's not for the self. Okay, clearly it's not for the self. Then for whom is the sense of doership? So the prince answers. Now first he gives the answer with about ignorance. First starts with ignorance. Let's understand what is ignorance first. Ignorance simply means that I am separate. A sense of separation. Okay? A duality. To be separate from consciousness. You think yourself to be something else apart from consciousness. Separate from it. And that is ignorance.
Guruji, can you also say not knowing my nature is ignorance?
Knowing my nature is ignorance? Knowing my nature is knowledge, right?
No, not knowing my nature.
Not knowing my nature. That not knowing my nature causes you to identify with the non-self. You cannot be in vacuum, right? If you don't identify with the self, the mind doesn't keep quiet. It identifies with something. Now it starts, when it's not identified with the self, it starts identifying with anatma, which is deha. It starts identifying with deha, manas, buddhi, ahankara, and identities. Okay? It starts identifying with non-self. So it tells ignorance simply means to be not identified with self and to be identified with that which is not self, anatma. Then the next question was, what is the self, right? Hemangada tells the only way to answer that question, what is the self, is for you to realize yourself. there is no way that that question of what is consciousness, what is Brahman can be answered. The only way that can be answered is by referring to the self in you. That is why the Upanishad always talk about Pratyekatma. The statement of the Upanishad is, I am Atma Brahma, the self in me, the Pratyekatma in me, the innermost self in me is consciousness. The only way to understand what is consciousness is to go back to your innermost self, which is the self in deep sleep. Okay, in the deep sleep, there is no identification with the non-self possible because there's no non-self. Everything is withdrawn. The mind, body, world, identities, roles are all withdrawn. There is no non-self to be identified with. Okay, there's no object. What remains is a pure subject, witness. And that is the only reference that can be given for self. So Hemangada tells, the only way to answer the question of what is self is by referring to the self in you. Okay? And then he had asked the question, for whom is the sense of doership? For whom is the sense of doership is actually there's nobody. But there is a notion of somebody, and that notion of a somebody, he tells, is called I thought. The exact answer that he gives in the scripture is the terminology called I thought, ego. And he refers to the ego as I thought. A thought, the I thought that comes and goes, okay, causes your sense of doership. The action happens without the I thought. But after the action happens, the I thought comes and tells, I did it. The reality is there is nobody. There is simply a thought appearing. And the thought is not a subject. The thought is an object. Okay? The thought comes and it goes. But this coming and going of this I thought creates all that confusion. Now the ghost asks him, by what means? Okay, fine. This I thought is the cause of problem. How can we destroy it? How can this ignorance be destroyed? Okay. What is the means of destroying the ignorance? How can this means be acquired? And what leads to that means? Okay. What is the solution? How can that solution be acquired? And what leads me to that solution? The prince says, what is the answer? Anybody knows the answer?
Gnana.
Gnana, okay. The answer to this question is how the Tripura Rahasya started. Tripura Rahasya started with the emphasis on Gnana and enquiry. Vichara. Atma
Vichara.
Atma Gnana and Atma Vichara. Vichara is the key, he tells. Vichara is the one that cuts the ignorance. Because Gnana you'll hear. So the Guru will tell, Gnana, you are Brahman. You are not body, mind, intellect. Fine. That is Gnana, heard, Shravana. Then there's a Vichara required. You have to inquire. Because you're getting a feeling of I. You're getting the feeling, you're getting anger, you're getting emotion, you're getting desire, you're getting questions. There is a part to be played by you. Okay? And that is inquiry. You have to inquire, who am I? Okay? Who is the one asking the question? That Vichara cuts the ignorance. And what leads to Vichara is Vairagya. Okay? He tells, because he has asked 3 questions. You have to tell me the means. You have to tell me how to get that means. You have to tell me what leads me to that means. So now he has only told him what is the means. The means is Vichara. Now how to get that means? How to get Vichara? The Vichara will not happen if you don't have Vairagya. How to get Vairagya is very, very simple. So Bhagavan Osho used to tell, initially the man is fully immersed in desires, full of hope, aspiration, is full with the future. Oh, aisa hoga, future. I'll do this, I'll become that, I'll become rich, I'll become smart, I'll become famous, everything. Okay. Initially, there's so much momentum, right? You remember such a stage in life? Ye karenge, wo karenge, life mein. Then the man gets married. The day he gets married, he's filled with Vairagya. What is this world? What is this life? So Bhagavan Osho tells, this is what the analogy he gives. The moment he gets married, he gives filled with Vairagya. Okay? Do all married people agree? The moment you get married, Vairagya dawns. I don't know about wives, but husbands it dawns. Okay?
Wives also same, Guruji.
Why don't?
No different.
Please understand. And I will also tell what Bhagavan Osho, I am not telling it, okay?
Okay.
He doesn't agree with what you told. He tells wives are no. Wives, after marriage, wives become free and husband become bond. And he tells the wife is the one that pushes the husband to the enlightenment. And then somebody in the commune, Osho commune, asks, are you saying that women can't get enlightened? Then immediately Bhagavan answers, how can they get enlightened? Who will push them to enlightenment? The man is pushed by the woman, but who is going to push the woman to get enlightenment? So the dispassion develops, dispassion simply means the life, right? The life pushes you to such a stage where you start asking questions. When you're young, you're holding on to your body. I'm so young. Then by the time you're 30 and 40, you start realizing, oh, everything is going to change. Then all the delusions, they drop. Then you start questioning. Okay? Then with all your hopes and dreams, aisa hoga, life mein. By the time you're 30, 40, everything comes crashing down because nothing that you thought happened. Okay? That's what is called midlife crisis. Have you heard of midlife crisis? You've come to a stage in life where you're stuck. Neither are you young. Okay? You are not so naive and ignorant to have aspirations because now you know nothing is going to happen. Neither are you old to tell that, okay, my time is over. Okay? Still you have responsibilities and all that. You're stuck. That's why most people in midlife, either they go into depression or they find some ashram. Okay? So the key is Vairagya. My master used to say when I got married, I got married under my master. My master, when Guruji used to tell when I got married, he made me write a book on marriage, first to understand what is marriage. Then in the book that I wrote, some quotations that he had told. He told, if you have a good marriage, okay, you will get enlightened. If you have a bad marriage, you will have instant enlightenment. Okay? A bad marriage will push the person. It's like boiling. Every day it's boiling. You start questioning, what is life? What am I doing in life? Is this what I'm living for? All the fundamental questions come in the bad marriage. Okay? You develop Vairagya. Has that happened to you people? So fortunate are the people like Kevin and Beena who are not married and still they are spiritually inclined. It takes a lot of intelligence. Otherwise, it's very ordinary. Married people looking for freedom is very ordinary. It's like people being in the prison looking for release. But unmarried people looking for freedom is very special. So the key is dispassion. Dispassion leads to, vairagya leads to atma vichara. You should come to a point in life where nothing, is just dispassionate about life. Okay? And he says you should he says you should have disgust for the pleasures of life. Okay? Not just dispassion, not just vairagya. You should have an aversion towards the pleasure of life. That is the quality he says you should have. Kavin, you were telling something?
I thought Vairagya was focused towards something.
Sorry, the question was not clear. Can you repeat the question?
Sorry, Guruji, the network is a bit bad.
Okay, so what is Vairaga? So first I told you there is Raga.
Since I thought.
There is a Raga in life, right? Raga means desire, attraction. The Raga, the constant moving towards Raga brings pain and suffering. Okay? So the typical process is, I want something, Raga. Now that Raga, that I want something, what is the probability that you will get it? Almost close to 0. Okay? And even if you get it, there are so many criteria the mind has. It has to come in the way that you want it. Okay? It has to come at this point of time in this way. So most of the time, the desire is unfulfilled. The unfulfilled desire causes anger. Okay? I didn't get it. Okay? Now, I didn't get it. I'm angry. Somebody else got it. Anger plus jealousy. More anger. I didn't get it. Anger. Somebody else got it. More anger. Okay? Then I didn't get it. Sorry, I got it. I want more. Okay? I want more. And more is more anger. I want more. The anger that you don't have, the more. Again, anger. Then it's kama, krodha. I got it and I protect it. I am obsessed with it. That is moha. So kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada. Mada is I wanted something. I got it. Oh, I only got it. I'm great. I got it. Okay. Again, somebody else gets more than me. Again, anger. My superiority depends on other people being inferior. The moment the inferior starts rising up, anger. Okay, all again lead back to anger. This boiling, constant boiling anger, deep-rooted anger, because of jealousy, because of arrogance of getting, because of not getting, this comes to a boiling point. Okay, tipping point. That tipping point, and of course, life also brings a lot of suffering in various ways. And all this, if you're fortunate, leads to vairagya. Vairaga means raga is there, but there is vishesha raga. Vairaga means raga, but for raga for the higher. The raga for the higher, you start dropping the lower gets dropped by itself. You understand? The desire for God brings, as a byproduct, you start disassociating with the lower. Like when you were a kid. When you were a kid, you had a marble or a pebbles, right? The pebbles you're so obsessed with. Okay, if somebody takes the pebble, you start crying. But then when the child grows up, it moves to maybe some PlayStation 2. Now the pebble is forgotten. Okay? Now, if you give the pebble, the child will throw the pebble on your face. Now it's playing with PlayStation 2. Okay. Then when the child goes up further, it will start playing with bigger cars, real cars. So when you move higher, the lower is dropped by itself. And the dropping of the lower is called, now you've got vairagya towards that. Simply because you've got a raga towards something higher. Vairagya in the real sense means the highest raga to the highest, which is Brahman. Desire for Bhagavan is called vairagya. Any doubt? Kavin, is it clear?
Yes, Guruji.
So do you have desire for Bhagavan?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay. So he's given the answer. Now the ghost cross-question him. What is this investigation? Okay. Tell me, what is this inquiry that you're talking about? What is vairagya? And you said disgust to pleasure. What is the disgust to pleasure? Then the prince answers. The prince says, investigation means, he first tells it's an internal process. It is called Atma, Anatma, Vichara. He teaches the ghost about Atma, Anatma, Vichara. You have to distinguish internally what is the self and what is non-self, with a strong and sincere desire to realize the self. Okay? And vairagya means simply a non-attachment to your wherever you are. Okay? Be wherever you are, but don't be attached to anything. And you are not attached to anything. See, wherever you are, when the attachment comes, when there is you seek a happiness from that. When your happiness you're seeking from the higher, then where you are, you're there to give, not to get. So the non-attachment to your surrounding is vairagya. And inquiry is Atma, Anatma, Vichara, which you have to do internally. Then the ghost asks him, what is the cause? So you told me all these answers. All these steps. I asked so many questions and you told me all these answers. What is the cause for all of this to happen? Okay, how will all of this happen? Because if I have to move individually, it looks like a Himalayan mountain that I have to climb. Oh, I should not have vairagya, I have to do Atma Anatma Viveka, I should develop sadhana sampatti. There's so many things. It takes a lifetime or many lifetimes to, it's like a mountain that I have to climb. What is the root cause of this whole series of things, requirements that you've told? The Hemagata tells, there is only one, which is grace. The grace makes all this happen. The grace is the root. And how you can get grace is by the devotion, pure devotion. The devotion to the Lord, devotion to Bhagavan will help you receive more and more grace. Grace is always there, but your devotion opens up your inner being to receive the grace. Now, how does devotion come? How does devotion come? So devotion is very natural, he says. Everybody has a devotion. And that devotion is called apara bhakti. The bhakti is of two types. Apara bhakti, which is a lower type. Para bhakti, which is higher. So generally, it's easy for people to have apara bhakti. There's a general notion that there's some God, have some devotion, do some prayer. But here, when he's saying devotion, he's talking about para bhakti, the highest devotion. highest devotion is filled with gnana and upasana. Okay. Now, how do you get this higher order devotion? The prince says there's only one way. And this way that I'm telling now is the real root of the root. It's the root of the root causes for liberation. And what is the root of the root? Any guesses? The root for devotion, the root for grace, the root for everything. What is the root?
Guru.
The root is association with the wise. How are you to listen to any of this without getting associated? Satsanga. The satsanga of the gnani is the only way all of this will open up. Otherwise, you don't even know such a thing exists. Okay? The association with the gnani is the root cause of all of this. Now the ghost asks, you said you should have devotion to God. Who is this God who I should have devotion to? And what is devotion to this God? And who are these wise people that you talk about? The prince answers, God is called, when he says God, he clarifies. I am referring to Ishvara. Ishvara he is the Lord of the universe. He is the one who commands the universe. And what is devotion? He is clarifying. Devotion is, you need to have, there's something called love. You have love. Love for your spouse, love for your child, love for somebody. Okay? Devotion is highest love with respect. Okay? And this highest love with respect is called devotion. See, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, whenever he used to talk about devotion, he would say, all talk about devotion is useless. Okay? It's like talking about devotion, it's like when you're thirsty, you're reading books about water. Okay? Devotion means your eyes should be watering. And that is not easy. The eyes to water out of devotion is very, very, very hard. When was the last time when you had tears of devotion? But if I ask you, when was the last time you had tears of pain and suffering? Yesterday only. Today morning I was crying. Okay? But to have tears of devotion is very, very hard. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa that was his yardstick for devotion. If you don't have tears for Lord, no devotion. That means it's coming from the deepest part of your being. So when you're hurt, when you're in pain, when you're suffering, when you're distraught, the tears of suffering come out. Okay? Why the tears are coming out? Because you're not able to express your suffering. Because that level of suffering you have, that words cannot express it. So tears express it. Okay? Like the child. A child doesn't know how to speak. When it's hungry, it cries. When it's in pain, it cries. So crying is it's a fundamental communication methodology. And it's very deep rooted. Okay? You cannot fake it. Somebody might be very, very hurt. If they don't express it, if they hold it, they will burst in tears. Okay? Typically men don't express. And they don't even express, they don't even cry, right? So all that suppression of the tears, which is a very fundamental force, starts distorting the body. It can become diseases or it can explode as something else. So that same tears, when you're so filled with devotion for the Lord, when you can no longer speak, expresses as tears. Okay? There's a deep gratitude. There's a deep communion with the Lord. And that is experiential. That is called bhakti. So he tells bhakti for the Lord is what is called as devotion. And who are these wise? The wise are those people who are always peaceful. They reside in Param Shanti. And they melt with love for all. Two criteria he tells. Param Shanti and Para compassion. Gnana and Prema. The one who is deeply rooted in Gnana and Prema is a Gnani. The next question, this question is clarified. He asks a different question now, the ghost. Who is the person who is always in fear? And who is the person who is always suffering? And who is of poverty? Who is the person who is... what is poverty? Okay. The prince says... The prince says, who is in fear? So who is in fear is the one who has a lot. The one who has a lot to lose, okay, is always in fear. Because he's always thinking about what I can lose, what I can lose, what I can lose. And who is in poverty? Who is poverty? So this is a very unique definition of poverty. So what is poverty according to you? So typically we know poverty means, okay, somebody is below some income grade is poverty. Okay. The Gnani, Hemangada says, poverty means that person who has unsatisfied desire. He's poor. So there's a very famous story of Akbar and a Sufi saint. A Sufi saint is sent from his village to get donation from Akbar. When he goes to Akbar's court, Akbar is doing prayer. Akbar is an emperor. He's doing prayer. Oh God, please give me more power. Okay. More success. This Sufi saint, he's waiting outside. He's listening to all of these prayers. Then he gets angry and he leaves. Then Akbar sees that he's leaving. He goes and calls him. Why are you leaving? You had come. Because he knows the saint. He bows down to him and asks him, what do you need? The saint says, I had come here to ask something for my village from you. But I saw that you are a beggar yourself. Okay? You are only begging in front of God. Okay? So you do one thing. I have a closer relationship with God. You tell me what you want. In fact, I will get you what you want. And he goes. So poverty means unsatisfied desire. The definition of Hemangada is, you can be whatever you are in life. But you still have, if you're still begging inside, you are poor. Because begging is an action of poverty. Okay? There's a constant inner begging. And that's why I did the abundance consciousness class for you guys, right? In abundance consciousness, you wake up to a consciousness of giving, a consciousness of creating. Otherwise, by default, you're in a consciousness of begging, asking. Abundance consciousness means the divine consciousness, where the divine consciousness doesn't beg. It creates. If something is not there, it creates. Okay? And it is a giver. It goes on giving. So if you observe in nature, everything is giving. Nature gives. and nature sustains everything else. So to plug into that is to be in abundance consciousness. And that moment you become wealthy. Okay? But as long as you have a unsatisfied desire, he says you're in poverty. Then the ghost asks him, okay, please can you tell me what is real and what is unreal? The prince says, the Hemangada says, the subject, the real subject, Atma, alone is real, and the object is unreal. Simple answer. Subject is real, object is unreal. Okay? And all objects, no matter what, it's just unreal. And with this final answer, the Hemangada says, now I answered all your questions. Please release my brother. The ghost says, yes, now I'm satisfied with all the answers that you've given. And the brother is released. Then the curse he was under, the ghost, he's free from the curse, and he takes his original form of a Brahmin. Then now as a normal person, he bows down to Hemangada and asks him to become his guru. And he asks further questions, and he becomes enlightened. On listening to the story, Parashurama has he has heard all the question answer from the ghost and this thing. Then Dattatreya ended with the statement that he became a normal human being, then they had a dialogue, there's some question answer again, and he became enlightened. Now Parashurama is curious, oh, what was that question answer? What was the further discussion that they had? Okay, he wants to know everything. Okay, what is the further discussion they had? Then the Dattatreya tells him, the Brahmin, when he became a normal human being, the first question that he had is, see, because of the dialogue that we had and I became free from my curse, I understand you're wise and you're a Gnani. There's no doubt in that. You're a Gnani. Okay. If you're a Gnani, why are you hunting? How can you be in the forest hunting and you're doing all these activities? How can you be a Gnani and do all of this? That was the question he started with. And the answer to that question, that dialogue that they had after that is what brought him liberation. Okay, what is that dialogue? We'll take in the next session. So enough for today's session. Any doubts? What is poverty? What is consciousness? What is vairagya? What is mind? What is ignorance? What is grace? What is devotion? Kavin, clear?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay, so the next session will be the concluding chapter. And then the session after that, we'll take up the Palashruti of the Tripuras.
Krishnaji, I had a question about Vairagya. So you mentioned that Vairagya is raga for the higher.
Yeah.
But for some people, it is mostly they don't seek Bhagwan as such. They seek freedom from suffering or any kind of freedom. So does that also come under Vairagya only?
It's seeking for freedom is seeking for Bhagwan only. You don't know the freedom that you seek is you're seeking for Bhagwan. See, when you say I seek freedom from suffering, what are you seeking? I seek peace and I seek happiness.
Yeah.
Peace and happiness is Bhagwan. Bhagwan is of the nature of peace and happiness. So at any point of time, you're only seeking yourself.
But maybe they're not as much devotional or, practicing any sort of bhakti or kriya. But just if they seek for freedom from suffering, does that also come under vairagya only?
No, from whom are you seeking freedom from suffering? Somebody you are telling this message to, no? I want freedom from suffering. To whom?
So it starts with the, seeking freedom from suffering, and then you move on to the next stage.
That is correct. But there's an internal longing for suffering. There's a cry for freedom from suffering. Okay, there's an inner cry for freedom from suffering. That sound is told to somebody, it's told to existence.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a deep knowing that there's somebody listening.
Yeah.
Called bhakti.
Why I asked this question was because I see there are two types of vairagis. Like in case of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he had a deep longing for seeing Kali, Mother Kali. But there are other set of vairagis who are not seeking any, a divine experience, but they just seek freedom from suffering.
Yeah. So how you personify, the people personify the divine in many ways. Ramakrishna personified as Kali. Somebody else might personify as some other Ishtadevata. Somebody might personify as Guru, then it becomes Guru Bhakti. Somebody might personify as something else. So there are Navavidha Bhakti. Okay? There are different types of Bhakti and different types of Bhava that they can take. Bhakti has Bhava. No Bhava, no Bhakti. Bhava is your relationship to the divine. So Ramakrishna took a Bhava he took a Matra Bhava. Of course, he did all the other Bhavas also. He did the Rahasya Bhava as Hanuman. He did Sakhi Bhava as, he did the sadhana as gopis. So you can take different bhavas. Pitra Bhava, Bhagwan is my father, God is my mother, God is Guru, God is this deity. So you can take many bhavas. Depending on the bhava that you take, Bhagwan responds to you in that way. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So you're saying some people might not have, they might not associate Lord as some form. That is fine. They might associate to Lord as existence. They might associate with Lord as formless. It's also fair.
Okay. Yeah.
You can approach the Lord in either through form or formless. Okay, but in both the cases, form and formless, there is a notion that there is something higher, the higher energy. A devotion to that higher energy, which is beyond my intellect, is called bhakti. A devotion and respect.
Okay.
And whatever bhava you take, yad bhave tad bhavati. What bhava you take, that response you get.
All Jnanis.
Huh?
So is devotion a necessary aspect for all Jnanis? Like for a person to be called a Jnani, does he, is it like necessarily need to have devotion?
Gnani has Gnana, that I am Brahman. Devotion is, I told you, there's devotion in bhakti, para bhakti, and apara bhakti. For gnana, gnana alone is required. Okay? Can gnana happen without devotion? Gnana cannot happen without guru. Okay? Now, without guru bhakti, which is also devotion, which is the highest bhakti, how can gnana happen? Without guru bhakti, you think gnana can happen?
No.
See, any subject, right? Forget spirituality. Any subject. Can you learn if you hate the teacher?
No.
But the moment you like the teacher, you learn the subject better for the teacher.
Yeah.
So Guru Bhakti is the key. The devotion to the Sadguru bestows the highest. It cannot happen. I'm sure Buddha also had deep devotion to all the teachers that he met. He met 6 masters. He had intense devotion to all of them. He gave himself to them. Okay? And
so in my case, if I have to confess, like initially, I was extremely religious, like in my all till I was 20-year-old. And then suddenly I turned atheist, like I will not believe in any gods, so something like that. Then again, I reached a stage where I was, okay, maybe I have to surrender to some higher force. So all 3 stages, I was, this question came to me, that is devotion necessary?
So devotion, of course, is necessary. Like I told you, that you need to have, because gnana is a result of atma gnana, right? Without devotion, how will you receive that?
Guruji, can we say devotion?
You're saying something, Sheshariji? You're on mute.
Can we say faith is required in a Sadguru and the devotion leads to Chitta Shuddhi?
No, faith, devotion, there's no devotion without faith, right? Faith leads to devotion. Faith means what? When you say, I have faith in the Guru, I have faith that this person is not human. This person is Bhagwan. And the moment you have that notion, the devotion is a natural happening because you're dealing with somebody divine.
So the devotion is required in a kind of like, even to meet a Sadguru, because devotion leads to Chitta Shuddhi in some way. And also the devotion needs continue.
See, first of all, what is devotion? What is faith? What is gnana? All of that are truly understood only after meeting the Sadguru. What led you to meet the Sadguru? We don't know. It is ripening. The simple answer is, you were ready. The person was ready. Now, what made the person ready? We don't know. Obviously, there is some past momentum of sadhana, suffering, everything is there. All that is already crossed. If you come to this stage, there must be definitely some past momentum. Otherwise, it doesn't arbitrarily happen. So, out of Bahunam Janmanante, many years of good merits has led you here. And once you meet the master, that's when the real meaning of devotion, bhakti, gnana, all that opens up. Now, depending on the master that you meet, I told you, the higher order gnani can be from a background of discipline or from a background of gnana. They could also be from a background of bhakti. We don't know. So if it's from a background of bhakti, that that could be inspired in you. So typically, so my master is from all backgrounds. He's from a background of first yoga. For 12 years, he did yoga, hatha yoga, intense hatha yoga. Okay. First initial from childhood, 12 years. Then Parabhakti. Many years in Savikalpa Samadhi, intense devotion. Before that, Karma Yoga, Kriya Yoga, then Karma Yoga for many years, then Bhakti, deep devotion, highest devotion, Savikalpa Samadhi. So in that, there's a lot of purification that happens in Bhakti. Bhakti is very, very purifying. Okay, purification. And then Atma Vichara and Atma Gnana through his Sadguru. So he had the fortune of going through all of the 4 yogas. And that only makes the master capable of handling different types of disciples. Okay? So it all depends on the role and the positioning. But is everything necessary? No. What is only necessary is clear Atmagnana. Because that is the teaching of Totapuri, right? To Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is in deep devotion. He says, what devotion? What mother are you seeing? She's an illusion. Cut her. Ultimately, it's about cutting everything, including devotion. Dina, is it clear?
Yeah. So I got this question because of the story that was told about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, that he was deeply devoted to Mother Kali, but that itself was being a hindrance for his enlightenment. So that's why I had this question.
So the key for the seeker is, what is the truth? You should never get stuck in any stages. That's what the Guru doesn't allow. Guru doesn't allow any duality to remain. He or she always pushes you. And that's what Totapuri did. He said, drop mother. She is an illusion. Okay? You need to be established in the Nirvikalpa and Brahman. The ultimate reality is Brahman, which is what you are. Okay? And in that, so in Atmagnana or Brahmagnana, devotion is an irrelevant question. Okay? Because devotion means there's a devotee and there's a Bhagwan. Gnana means there is no devotee. The devotee is an illusion. Gnana means Bhagwan alone is. So in that sense, Gnana is Bhakti, Bhakti is Gnana. That's why it's called Parabhakti. Parabhakti and Gnana are exactly the same. Gnana is Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. Parabhakti is Bhagwan alone is I am not. Same, both are same.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we close for the day?
Yeah.
Tvameva mata, pita tvameva, tvameva bandhuscha, sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya, dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam, mama deva deva. Kayena vacha manasendriyaiva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhava karomi adyat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami loka samasta sukhino bhavantu Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. My pranams to all. We'll meet in the next session. Hari Om.
Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.